Good evening, folks. The Bob Marley derby ended 2-2. Joining me tonight to discuss tonight's match, we've got Gally, Donal, and he's on time tonight, Steph.
Boom.
How's it going, lads? What'd you make of that?
Go on, Donal, you kick us off there.
Yeah, another good performance. I'm a bit disappointed they didn't nick a win. I thought they had some really good chances that they didn't take. But again, their performance levels are really good. They look like they've got a good couple of options in midfield. Changed midfield tonight from last week, and then coming off the bench, a couple of lads came on and did well. Thought Wardy was excellent when he came on again. And almost nicked it with a free kick then to win it. But yeah, it's another good performance, and I think the way I looked at last week was the performance was more important than the result. And I think following the same logic, the performance was great again tonight. So there's an awful lot to be positive about, but I'll just be a tiny bit disappointed they didn't finish the job and get the win.
Absolutely, Gally.
Yeah, it's similar to Donal, but it's almost like a carbon copy of last week. But the opposite way around. We've done to Bohs what Derry done to us last week. We've gone 1-0. The results of quick goals after us scoring, and last week in Derry or against Derry and Oriel, and Bohs have done it tonight against us. They've gone up twice, ahead twice, and we've come back really quick. I think we were talking about it in the chat. I think if Kelly finishes the chance he gets, we thought it was a great block, but the more you look at it, then you see the replay of it. I think Steph was talking about it. It's just like he's got to finish that. He's got to hit the target on that one, and it's little things like that it'll go against you sometimes. Now, hopefully, he comes back and works for you in a couple of months down the season. But we could almost replay this podcast from last week because it's a similar game. It's a similar on paper. It looks like it's 2-2. on the paper, it looks like a cracking game at 2-2, but it wasn't a cracking game. It's not like it was end to end. Yeah, there was some individual decent displays. There was some boys. I don't want to get too negative on it, but some of the defending it's slow. That's probably the best way I can nutshell it. But look, if you're not out jumping Jordan Flores for a goal, I'm sure they didn't defend set pieces in training during the week and expect Jordan Flores to be on the end of anything. But if you can't out jump him, like he's smaller than me, and I'm small, But I think it's a good start for us. It's a good start of the season, but it's not exciting. I don't think it's I think we're going to be in for a good interesting season anyway, because I think we can score against anybody the way we're playing. But it's at the back. It's going to be it could be a bit of a freak show on days. Now, I don't know. Stefan would be the resident expert on the fullbacks, but I'll let him take over the defending talk. But it's going to be an interesting couple 6-7 games at the start of the season, I think.
Yeah. Just at this point, as always, get your comments in for your man at a match. We'll discuss that a little bit later on for a chance to win a free pizza from Tony's Pizzeria. Steph, just on following on from what Gally's saying there, talking about the defending, and when we've been texting back and forth throughout the game, it is an area that I think it's plain to see for everybody. It's an area that needs to improve, but it did seem as the game went on to get a little bit better, didn't it? They seemed to settle in maybe a little bit more in the second half, but would it be a worry area for you 2 games into the season?
Look, if you're just taking the whole back 5 on a whole, Boyle's the only one there from last season. So it's all brand new. They're still getting to know each other. I wouldn't be hitting the panic button just yet. I thought the fullback's done okay. Bones, I know he fills in at right full, but he is a centre half, and McCarry's not a left full. So look, I think we're sort of just patching along as we go. I thought they didn't do it too badly, to be honest. The goals are totally avoidable. We knew what they were going to do. They were going to just put the ball straight on top of Shepherd and put him under pressure, especially after he pushed one away just before that for the corner. I think Bradley was picking up Flores, so that just shows you Flores wasn't a standout player that we need to be looking after. But it's a poor goal then, and just the second one then as well. It's totally avoidable. again, sort of two mistakes. Conley sort of puts it in. I don't know whether like Promise just got in front of him maybe, but I thought it was a positive performance, and it's definitely something to build on. Like I said last week, we're gonna get stronger as the weeks goes on. The longer we keep doing what we're doing, and we'll get to know our game better. I think it's only going to be a positive thing. Like I thought particularly in the second half, like the two centre halves look like a partnership there. Definitely something we could build on. And look, it's a second match in after having, I'd say probably even in pre-season we didn't really have, like, Boyle only played his first minutes against Schroeder, so look, he's going to be the leader at the back there. So you imagine, Finn Harps are home there on Monday night. You'd like to keep a shutout against them and just build on it from there.
Yeah. And Donald, I suppose, looking at our goals tonight, and probably one of the worries that were taken away after the game was the injury to Pat Hooban, who started the season very, very well and very brightly. What was your thoughts on his goal, and then probably following up with the injury?
Well, the goal was like Guy was saying, we did to Bohs what Derry did to us, that as soon as Bohs went in front, we pulled it back. We should score more goals from corners and free kicks. I think the Bohs commentators were they made it seem like we had a bunch of like 12-foot tall players that were like impossible to mark from free kicks and corners, but there is a couple of lads that should be winning headers from free kicks and corners, so it was good to get off the mark, and good for Hoon himself to get off the mark. But the injury's a bit like, obviously we don't know the extent of it, and we do have Davy Mack to come in, and I think we said this a lot last season, that there's a difference in the style of play, that you obviously can't fire the ball in to McMillan as much as you can fire it into Hooban, so that you might need to like reassess the game plan for Finn Harps. But I think there's a little. Stephen O'Donnell was talking about that before the game, about having a smallish squad, and I think there's certain areas where we seem fine. Like I was saying, at the midfield, we've got good options in midfield, but then the two fullbacks, we're short of fullbacks, and then we don't really have a third option up front. So you're looking at like, if you're looking at McMillan, and he's like he's the last man standing if Hooban's out. So there's a little bit worrying with the size of the squad that we have, but like Davy Mack's good enough to play a few games in Hooban's place.
Yeah.
Do you think John Martin can probably play that role as well?
I think he did, didn't he? He did play up front a couple of times for Waterford. So it's definitely an option. And like, we don't know what would actually come of it. Like, we could end up playing one of those false nine centre forwards. We could like crowd out the midfield. It might suit us in certain games, but obviously if Hooban's fit, he's playing because he's too important, But I'm sure the lads have come up with some ideas for what we could do if we were missing the two strikers.
Yeah, I think the way he started the season, he's working hard, working a lot harder than I would say that he was working last year. I don't want to start a whole debate. There'll be people talking about me on Oriel Web again tonight, but I think he started very, very well. But I feel like when he came off, and I can't remember who came off with him, but once Keith Ward came on, the game kind of changed for us, didn't it, at that point? And Wardy was attracting a lot of the Bohs players towards him every time the ball went near him, which was opening space for players like Dan Kelly out wide and other players. Gallion, did you see that as being a potential, is that something maybe moving forward, if Hooban's injured, we're going to have to change up the way we did play in the first half, and maybe give Keith Ward a start there?
Yeah, like the only question mark over Keith Ward is the fitness, because over the couple of years he's had his injuries, but we said it here last week. I mean, a player like Wardy to come off the bench, like, personally, I probably would have started him. Now, I don't know what his fitness is like, but against where we signed him, I think Keith Ward coming on at Dalymount against Bohs, I think really would have been an excellent start, if he started the game. But at the same time, an impact sub like that, whereas we had the opposite last week, where we had Craig Sloggett, acting like as an impact sub, which doesn't really work. Slogger kind of needs, like we've seen in the first half, he wasn't outstanding, but he broke up play really well, and his distribution of the ball is excellent when he's on top form. So him coming off the bench last week probably doesn't make much of a difference unless you're kind of shoring up a game. But somebody like Keith Ward coming off the bench, like we kind of talked about him even last season, halfway through the season, what a player he was, and an underrated player probably. Now his signing probably came a bit of the left field at Dundalk, but I think somebody like that playing in the hole is just, he's top class. Like on his day, there's very few as good as him. When you go through, like obviously with Mac and Lenny in his heyday with us, hopefully going downhill when he goes to Derry, but I think somebody like that, Hoban, the problem we have is that there only is one Pat Hoban on his day. We don't really have it. McMillan's a different kettle of fish altogether. So whether or not it works, like Stefan said there, and Donald was saying as well, John, Martin could be an option as well. He has played there. He's played the wing, and that's what Stevie's done. Stevie's signed players that could almost play two positions, if not three. So I think Wardy could be a master. So it could end up being signing of the season. And I think a lot of people mentioned. I thought Williams. He's going to remind you. He'd almost made it going.
Hold on there, Gally. Your microphone's gone there.
Oh, is it gone? Is it? Sorry.
No, you're back.
It's
You're
probably
back
better
there.
off than it's gone.
You're back there. We don't want to repeat it last week.
Well.
Steph's just turning you down. Steph's got the mic controls. He's just turning you down.
It must be the poster. I got the new poster and the camera's not working. Nothing working. But before the microphone goes off, Williams as well for me could be an absolute ball up during the season. But
I'm just going to leave this up under Steph now for the rest of the night too, just to remind us what he was like as a player as well. Fair play.
Thanks, Davey.
On the ward, yeah, look, top class. And Keith Ward can play anywhere across the midfield as well. Left, right, mid. I think he's fully fit. I think he's quality. But yeah, look, we'll see how we go. We're hoping. I don't think there's anything on Twitter about the injury yet, but we're hoping it's not too serious. That's probably somewhere where we're in a natural finish. We're probably light. But look, I mean, there's any team in the league would want Dave McMillan on their team. If you got him coming off the bench, we're not doing too badly,
Yeah. I think one thing that stood out tonight and it stood out last week is the amount of chances we created. I feel like we created probably more chances in the last two games than we did for the first half of last season combined. Daniel Kelly in particular had a couple of really, really good chances. And Steph, I want to bring you in on this, because I feel like with the way that Stevie is setting the team up to play, players with pace like Bradley, like Dan Kelly are going to get opportunities to get in behind the back four. So do you think shooting practice is something that needs to be worked on or finishing practice? Maybe not shooting practice, but finishing practice is something that needs to be worked on this week.
Look, we all know that Dan Kelly can score a goal. We've seen him scoring plenty of them. Look, maybe he had too much time to think about it. If it had been ball comes into him, he hits it first time, it's a snapshot and he doesn't have time to think about it. Maybe he scores, but I thought he just stalled a little bit and give the defender a chance to come across. At first glance, I thought it might have been a handball, but I should be finishing it, and then it looked like he was through again. He sort of dragged the shot to the near post and hit the side netting. But he's gonna if he's gonna play games, then you'd like to think the more he gets into it, the more confidence he'll get, and he seems to be a bit of a confidence player. Like if he hits the ground running at the start of a game, he's brilliant. But then other times, he can be a little bit disappointing for me. Some of his end product, and look, he's bags of pace, so he should be troubling. He should be troubling teams. But again, if he doesn't start the game well, I sort of find he doesn't have the best of games. I was a little bit surprised he started. I thought Adams done quite well in the Drogheda game when I was up watching it, and then last week I didn't think he done too badly. I was a little bit surprised at that change, and I thought Doyle done well last week. And again, look, we don't know if any of them had little niggles, but Stevie will know better than us, and if he's going to change it out, and then certain games, like I think what Gally was saying with Ward possibly starting the game, I think Finn Hobbs might be the ideal game. We're going to dominate possession, hopefully, and we can pick a pass and it's always progressive. It's always forward. It's always he can pick out the killer pass. And look, hopefully, if McMillan's on form, we can get ahead early and push on that game, because I think 3 points would be massive. And look, if someone said you have 5 points out of the first 3 games, you would have definitely taken it.
Yeah. And then I suppose, Donald, moving on to the second goal we got tonight, there was some great spells of possession in the attacking third of the pitch, and it seemed kind of like last week, I think we mentioned it on the pod as well, that a lot of the play just that was noticeable in these first couple of games is there's a lot of players crowding around the edge of the box, like 3 or 4 of our players crowding around the edge of the box, and it's leaving those wide players open, which had happened tonight. The ball was played out to Dan Kelly. I just said that he was having a stinker of a match, and then he put in a cross 2 minutes later for Bradley for the goal. So do you think that's going to be kind of a signature of how Stevie sets up the play and how he's trying to play?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of occasions in the second half, especially where we were, I've got this like love-hate thing with like XG and all those like statistical models and stuff, but it was interesting to see how many times we were a pass away from creating a chance. Like that Benson would have the ball and he'd have the through ball in front of him, and it would just be off by a second, or Slaga had a couple of them as well that were just off, and they're getting into good attacking positions, which we saw last week and we saw a lot in the second half tonight. The thing as well with Kelly is like he was very effective. I know he didn't take the 2 chances, but he was a brilliant outlet, and everybody's going to be scared of his pace. So he's obviously going to have an impact on whatever back four he's playing against, because he can just spin and be gone behind you. So he's always going to make defenders think. I think if he had taken one of the chances in the first half, like Steph said, he'd been off to the races then the rest of the night. But he put in a great cross for the second goal, and I was so impressed with Bradley's header. Like we obviously haven't seen very much of him, so the little bit that we saw against Drogheda in the Malone Cup, I think we were all like at least interested to see more of him. And then last week he was very good, and I thought he was better again tonight, showing little parts of his game that we haven't seen yet. So like he seemed a lot more two-footed tonight than I thought he was. Good on his left and his right. And then I was really impressed with the header, because it's the kind of thing that like you would absolutely die to have your wingers that can beat a fullback at the back post in the air. Because again, it's just one of those things where like if Hooban or McMillan make a run across the front, if you have that third striker coming in and you can just chip it up to the back post, you're in business. So I was very impressed with it. And yeah, I thought he was very good all night. But then I think, yeah, if you look ahead to to Monday, it is Monday, isn't it, against Finhouse? Yeah. That'll be a different style of game for him. Like you'd imagine we'd have more possession, so it'll be interesting to see what did Galley's camera tip on there?
Did you?
That's not my
it'll be interesting to see a game where he has a little bit more possession, hopefully. There's less space for him to run into to see what he can come up with. But yeah, I think a lot of the attacking play has been very, very encouraging. And it'll be interesting to see what happens Monday when we hopefully will have a bit more of the ball and hopefully be able to pick a couple more passes and create a few more chances.
Yeah, I think, Gally, do you expect Stevie to make changes for Monday? You'd probably anticipate McMillan's going to get a start. I'd say, the fact that he changed it up again tonight, he's still probably trying to figure out what his best 11 is, what's going to be his settled 11, but do you anticipate a couple of changes, or do you just think it's going to be that straight swap, McMillan for Hooban?
Yeah, you'd probably look at McMillan. Like Steph said, I'd agree with Steph. I'd be if Wardy's good to go, I'd start him. Because like Steph was saying, I mean, I know Finn Harps are not they're never an easy team, and considering the start they had last year as well. But you're going to be expecting control of the game, and that's like Keith Ward thrives on that type of stuff. I think Doyle as well. I'd like to see Doyle and Sloggett. I know they're probably a similar, but I'd like to see the two of them start in midfield. But then you got to leave someone. I think Williams, like I mentioned already, I think he could be a very, very good player. But I'd like to see definitely Keith Ward start. I mean, whether he's a 90-minute game in him, but I mean, against Finn Harps, you're hoping the game, you'd like to be taking it, not to be arrogant. You'd hope the game's over after 65, 70 minutes. You can take him off. But I definitely think I'd like to see him start and see what he can do over 90 minutes, because if he's come on there, I don't know what the time he come on at. You're talking maybe 25, half an hour to go. But if you can do that for 60 minutes at the start of a game, I know it takes a bit of time to get into a match, but against Finn Harps, I think it's the perfect, like Steph was saying, it's the perfect opportunity for him to start a match. And if Hoban's going off with a niggle, even if he is fit, I'd start McMillan as well, just to see, or even Martin, but McMillan definitely just to start a match and see if he can get at Finn Harps early, because, again, Pat Hoban coming off the bench, if that's an option, and we don't need to start him, but I think there's enough talent on the bench that can get a result against Finn Harps. But definitely Keith Ward, 100%. I'd actually have, Keith Ward would be the first one to start a match over anybody else, barring any injuries.
And
but
then
at the back line, there's not a lot to be done there, I don't think, at the minute. Maybe Hanratty could come in, but I don't see the back line changing too much.
No, I think if they're going to be together for a while, you probably have to keep it that way, don't you? But Steph, do you think a win is important on Monday? Do you think it's important just to make sure we don't lose again and just keep building slowly? What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, if we've ambitions of Europe or finishing top half, Finn Harps at home on a Monday we should be looking to get 3 points. We should be looking to get 3 points in most games. And then, look, if you fall short, or if you draw against a Derry where you might have lost, or you draw against the Bohs away that you might have won, you can sort of take them results when there's positives to be taken out of it. But look, Finn Harps, and no disrespect to them, look, we should be trying to take 3 points at home there. We should be dominating the game, possession-wise, creating good chances, and hopefully we can get the 3 points. Like you said, I think we're gonna, if we've ball players in the team, we should dominate possession. That's why I think Ward might actually get the start, like Ali said, and I think Williams can control the game. If we can keep him in there, I think Sloggett might lose out, and then Doyle's very good on the ball as well. So look, it'll be interesting again to see, because in previous seasons we could name the starting 11, maybe bar one or two, and then for a while it was like a toss up. It could be anyone. So we're still back at that sort of stage. But if you can keep the back five, consistent, they can get to know each other, then we can build on that. Obviously, Leahy's, I don't know how long I haven't even heard how long he's out for, but I'm presuming he's going to come back into left full at some stage. But without him, I think we need to just keep the back, get a bit of consistency there, and then just build on that. And hopefully a clean sheet.
Yep. Fingers crossed. And Gatti, just a quick one. I got an anonymous text there that says Ollie Hogan's going to have your comments on the dressing room wall on Monday. It's anonymous from someone. Tevan Sod sent that to me there. So just in case you're wondering. But no, I suppose don't two games in. I know you were up at the Drogheda game as well. Is it? Are you seeing a difference in attitude compared to last year's squad already? Just from what I've seen, obviously on Kelly, it looks like there's a lot more honesty around the pitch, and players are working hard, working for each other.
Yeah, like you look at even before the season started, if you look at the dressing room, you look at, like, say the older players that are in there, and there's a bunch of great professionals in there, good leaders, and then what you're looking for is, obviously, you're looking for those lads to set the benchmark and to be like the standard bearers. And obviously after that, you need the younger lads, the lads coming in on loan. You need them all to buy in, and it seems like they have. I don't think anybody could say that someone's put in like 70% in any of the games. I think everybody's given it everything that they have. It's the kind of thing, like, when results start to go badly, then obviously you find out a hell of a lot more about the boys then. But the way things have started, like, we could easily have 4 points from 2 games and be playing Finn Harps at home. Like, that would nearly be like as good a start to the season as you can possibly hope for. And yeah, it's like there's a lot to be positive about. I can just one of the things just before I forget that you can't necessarily be positive about is
Here
the
it is.
commentary from tonight. And I get that like there are Bohs people commentating the Bohs game and yada yada yada. But the one thing was that they called it United Park, which I'm sorry, it's not United Park anymore. It's Head in the Game Park. So I think the commentary went off. I think somebody must have just been like, right, lads, we're done. Pull out the plug. But another thing that they said was I don't know who on the Bohs team was from Northern Ireland, but he came off with 10 or 15 minutes to go, and the commentator said he's going to get a nice reception from the Dundalk fans behind the goals because he's from up the north. Which I was like,
yeah.
I did see the tweet, all right.
What?
Somebody did see that.
So that was a weird one. And also, what I will give them credit for one thing, though. They did forget two of the players that left Dundalk to go to Derry last season. But they remember two of them and then couldn't remember two of the other ones. So I was like, well, look, no matter what happens from now on, there's a nice little tick beside that comment. So Stephen Mallon, yeah. But yeah, look, that was sorry, that wasn't gonna. I don't think that was gonna naturally come up in one of the questions, so I'm just gonna chuck it in there, and then reverse back out of it and let you go on and ask the next proper serious football question. So.
Thanks, Donald. No, I know the commentary was a laugh. The commentary was just at one stage in the second half they were talking about how Dundalk players were pushing inside the box and the ref never called it, and then one of their players literally pushed one of our lads in midfield, and they're like, that's an easy or that's a harsh foul to give away, you know. It's like
the guy was doing an incredible Jeff Stelling impression as well. Like he was almost going to throw it over to the commentator at the Shells game to be like, and we've had a goal. And you're like, both have a corner here. Why are you telling us about like a goal in the first division? Just anyway, right? Okay.
Yeah, there was an odd moment as well, and it might have been at halftime, and I was like, oh, I think we'll go and do some halftime highlights or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it jumps over to the Pats game, and the boys are like, I think he's from such and such a place. Or maybe it's somewhere else. Oh, that's a good goal to the back post. Oh, he scored a goal. And you're just like, what the hell's going on here? And then it was clear that Hogan had like kneed the ball in or like used his thigh to score. And like your man didn't even have a clue because he was so into a story he was telling. Like it was just incredible. I don't know how to pick out these people like to do the comms, but
there's the best comment you could get there is the match commentators didn't realise that the Bohs fans they were addressing were all at the match and weren't even watching. But yeah, look, I suppose this is a time to talk about our good old mate Adrian Taff and our friend of the show Giller. We'll have Adrian back. He'll be doing commentary on LOI TV hopefully this weekend, or this Monday for the home game. So looking forward to listening to them. To be fair to Adrian, he's not biased at all, you know, when he does his commentary. So yeah. Hopefully we feel more like that. But look, we'll try to keep tonight's show as short as we can. Because we have another one on Monday.
Just end it there.
Yeah. We'll move on to man of the match, will we?
This will be interesting.
Yeah.
Do it.
Gally, before your camera or microphone goes, do you want to give us your choice there?
I don't want to be picking between two, but I'm going to go. I'm actually going to go Keith Ward. I know a lot of people are going for Bradley, and a lot of people on Twitter were going for Bradley, but I just felt the impact Keith Ward has on the game. And without getting into it, I'm not going to. It's just in case my microphone does. I'm going to go for Keith Ward. I know he came on the bench, played 30, 35 minutes, whatever it was. But I think the impact can't be overlooked. And for me, I'm going to go just sidestep it at the Bradley issue because we went for Bradley last week, and I got the right result tonight. So I'm going to just put a spanner in the works, and I'm going to say Keith Ward.
Keith Ward, no worries. Donald?
Yeah, there's a couple of options. I was almost going to pick Robbie Benson, but I think it's just. I think you got to. I know you don't want to pick the obvious one, but I think Stephen Bradley's the man of the match again. And then, like, yeah, I think he had the most impact. I think. If Kelly had taken one of the chances in the first half, you'd be like he could have been man of the match. But I'll go with Bradley. Sorry, I'm going with the incredibly obvious pick. Although maybe it's not incredibly obvious because he's only got one vote out of the four of us so far. So maybe I'm the only one that's going to vote for him.
Steph.
I'll let you go first, Dean. Who do you think?
So I'm not going to go with Donald's pick because I can't say that name and pick him as a man of the match ever. So I'm going to call it by number if I do pick him. But for me, I think, he got a lot of plaudits last week. I actually think Mark Conley was very good again. I think he commands that back line. He's from about 20 minutes from me back home, so there's a little bit of bias in there as well. But I just think he's a good player, and I think he imposes himself on the game. I think he fouls a bit, but he does it at the right time when we need a little bit of respite, So I thought he had a command and presence at the back, particularly in the second half when we were on top and they get it and kind of counter with us. I thought he done very well there. So for me, I'm going to go with the Clonus Cafu.
That has to be the first time there's been three different man.
Chris is probably listening in, pulling his hair out.
Oh. Well,
now we move on to someone who has no hair. Steph, if you want to go ahead there.
It's all on Steph.
Nice. Yeah, look, I thought Conley was okay apart from the own goal. You failed to mention.
Nice back heel though, in fairness to him.
He failed to mention, but he's going to be biased all season, and it's going to be a Chris Clark picking fucking Shieldsy all over again, is it? No, look, I thought Bradley was a threat all night, and he was a right ball, and like we said, Kelly could have had 2 goals in the first half, and that might have swayed me a little bit, but just that header at the back post, it's a full-back's nightmare. Come back towards your goal and someone attacking you from behind, you don't know where he's coming from, and you're trying to keep flight of the ball as well. Right in the corner, in off the post possibly, and look, I thought he was the standout performer for us again, and I think someone mentioned in the comments before, can we keep him, Dad? It's going to be a bit of trouble. Going to be a bit of trouble in July possibly. But look, if we can keep putting in performance like that, we'll be happy. It's a long-winded answer. Stephen Bradley, man of the match. I think
we could have another Mickey Duffy on our hands here, could we?
Who?
Man
like
of
the
the
PA guy.
He's not. Oh, hang on.
Oh, here we go. Wait a minute.
Linfield must have been playing tonight. He was up watching Shieldsy.
I only logged on to this show for 2 seconds, and all I heard is, I'm going to do a fucking Chris Clark and give you to Shieldsy. And I went, Jesus Christ, boy, I'm gone for 1 episode.
Chris, did you see the game?
I knew it really in.
No, I was at our rivals tonight, lads. I was ahead in the game park with Fabio. I did see the goals from the first half, so I just haven't seen Bradley's equaliser. How was that?
Wonder goal.
That was a fairness to what was cracked.
Very good.
We're all gone quiet. We're all shy now that you're on, Chris.
The boss is back. We're all like little children.
Chris will have no impact on the resultant.
What did you pick for your man at match?
Holy shit.
He's a disaster. Cut him
Who
off.
did you pick for your man at the match?
Who did I pick?
Yeah, I got
Bradley.
cut off there. You picked
Bradley.
Bradley, so Bradley's the winner.
Yeah.
So Steph, or no, Donald, we'll let you do the honours. Do you want to pick someone from the comments tonight as the winner of the pizza?
Right,
I had somebody in mind, but look, you're after blanking me down.
No, look, I tell you what, Steph, you go ahead. You make the choice. I haven't even looked.
Just randomly picking Frank Carolyn from the comments.
Well done, Frank.
Just looking at his Twitter earlier, Gally was a bit envious of a setup.
That's Frank's, is it? Yeah.
He was trying to figure out how he had the Twitter.
It's incredible.
Long ways on the screen and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Frank for the pizza tonight.
Well done, Frank. Fair play. So look, before we move on to Friday, on I think it was yesterday they launched the underage league for the season, and they have new rules. So I just want to go over this real quick. Gally, I'm sure you're excited this year that Dundalk's going to have some girls team at the under 17 level participating, and then there's new rules as well for it. And I'd be interested in your take on it, Steph, in terms of trying to push the development of the younger players. I think there's 2 or 3 players that are maybe under 15 are going to be allowed to play with the under 14s, and senior players coming back from injuries. I think there's 3 players going to be allowed to play with the under 19s, which can only be good to help players returning from injury. We haven't had that for probably nearly 10 years now at this stage, from the A Championship was done away with. And then as well as that, I think with the younger age groups, instead of doing 2 45-minute halves, they're going to do 3 30 minutes. And every player has to get at least 30 minutes that's in the squad for match days. So, Steph, I'll go to you first, as someone that kind of played in youth teams with Shells before. And what's your take on that? Do you think that's going to be good for the development of players coming through in Ireland?
Yeah, I think it's beneficial. Like, even, when I was coming up, I was with Shells until under 16, and they had that amazing team with Joseph Ado, Jason Bourne, like league winners, serial league winners, and then I came back to Dundalk and went into the under 18s, but straight into the under 21s, and you had some of the first team players dropping down that were either coming back from injury, we're sort of on the fringes of playing first team, but as well as being involved in a dressing room again, with them, and seeing how they done the match warm up, and everything seemed like it was professional, and you were trying to match that. And then on the flip side of that, then you could be up against someone like, I went to Derry, and my first under 21 match away was Paddy McCourt was doing the warm up, and I'm looking going, I'm probably not going to start the game, and Tommy Connolly starts here right back, and Paddy McCourt ends up out on the left hand side. So look, and I'm not saying he give full whack or anything like that, but you're buzzing for this under 21s game. You're learning your trade, and you're coming up against someone of his quality. Like Shells had Alan Moore, David Crawley, Steve Williams playing the match, and different players like that, Glenn Fitzpatrick. First team players dropping down, and you're trying to match up with what you're up against there, and it's the experience you get from it is invaluable, I think. And then you had seasoned pros like Trevor Vaughan, Paul Marney coming in, and just watching them, how they operated, and it was a total learning curve. And I tried to be like a sponge and just soak it all up, and I think it's a brilliant idea. And for the 21s league to fall away that time, I thought it was a bit of a mistake, because you sort of lose out on things like that. But if they're going to look to bring it back in at an under 19s level, I'd be totally for it,
Yeah, no, I think it's a smart move by them, as I say, how many times in the Stephen Kenny era was he getting friendly games almost just to get some of those players that are on the fringes game time. So At least now every week there's 3 players that are going to get minutes. It might not be 90 minutes, but they're going to get building up match fitness. And Donald, I suppose from your perspective, you're going through a sports psychology course now. When you're going through that, how important is it? Obviously, that the thing that they're talking about now, about every player is going to get at least 30 minutes playing time. If you're going into these academies, you should be playing, shouldn't you? So I think it's good for the psyche of the players that are being selected to play in these academies and play in these leagues, that they're going to actually get guaranteed playing time every week.
Yeah, you look at some of the horror stories of lads going away from home to academies and not getting to kick a ball for months, and it's just demoralizing from the minute you get there. So knowing that there's a chance you're going to get a game, and then what you're looking at, say from the top down at what we should be looking at, what Dundalk should be looking at from the top down, is now setting a trend and setting examples. So we were talking about earlier on about the elder statesmen in the squad setting examples. So now if a couple of those lads go into the under 21s or into the youth teams, say if Brian Gartland goes in and his level is right up there, then all the other lads are going to feed off of that. So it's a really good opportunity to set your benchmark of what you expect from a Dundalk footballer. and these young lads are going to get to play with the players that are like the standard bearers. So, like the positives really are endless when you really get stuck into it, and like Steph was saying there, like just the experience that the lads will get, will be invaluable to them going forward,
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Even what yourself and Steph were saying there, the likes of Garrett that is coming back from a long-term injury, he's one that you'd be looking at Dundalk saying the young players, like the under-19s at Dundalk, are probably going to benefit more than most, because you've got two players that are league winners in John Mountney and Brian Gartland coming back from long-term injuries. So they're probably going to play more than one game with the 19s. They're going to play probably 3 or 4 games before they'll be anywhere near match fit. So I think it's a great opportunity for young players at Dundalk Football Club now to learn from 2 seasoned professionals and 2 title winners, that have played European football. Gally, it's a big year for the club, as I say, with the under-17 girls team going into the National League for the first time. I think the club has talked a little bit about their ambition, I don't know if they've officially talked about it, but there is talk that there is a plan in place for a women's team, a senior women's team down the line in a couple of years. This is a great first step, isn't it? To get women's football up in Oriel Park, and you've been championing women's football, and your family's been championing women's football as long as I know you. So it's great to see the club finally taking those steps, isn't it, into the national level.
Yeah, it's massive. It's like obviously with the Bohs, and we're involved with the Loud School Girls League, and Dundalk now the 16s as well. I think they play MGL, and then they've obviously gone to the 17s. It's a pity last year's senior team played in the NEFL. They would have, I think the plan was to have them in a 19s league, but you have to start somewhere, I suppose, and maybe the level they needed wasn't at the club. But look, it's a massive. I seen the advertisement with young Kira White during the week, and it's a massive step, and like it's a massive undertaking as well. Now, it's probably not plugged enough. Like, I had to Google who the manager was the other day. Like, he's an ex-Bohs coach, but they're not plugged enough. Like even Tiernan's back up in Oriel and stuff, and they're probably not advertised enough and announced enough that there's coaches in at certain levels. So all this adds to that, and a National League, they probably need more teams in it. Looking at the fixtures of the leagues there, but it's a massive stepping stone for anyone. Like, for a kid at 16, Steph would know better than anybody. For a kid at 16 to be traveling all over the country playing football, at 15 even, depending on how talented they are. I know 1 or 2. There's a girl in particular going from Rock Celtic to the Dundalk under 16s, and she's only 13. So that's the level. There's plenty of football. Like you say, I've been talking about it for years, and the talent in town is frightening. Like if any, like the league starting up at the end of March. And if you're doing nothing on a Sunday morning, run the 14s league in town, the girls, and the talent is endless. There's a massive, core group of players there. They're just, and don't get me wrong, they're not all at the level, but there's 1 or 2 supremely talented footballers in town. I mean, when I say 1 or 2, I mean about 10, 12. There's a massive catchment area. There's plenty of clubs. The Loud League itself is growing. I think we're talking 600 players this year in the Loud League alone, just for girls. So Dundalk will benefit out of that. What we've seen in the past is a lot of players, maybe coming up from Dublin, and I'm talking maybe mid-noughties and stuff, and hopefully, not that we see the end of that, because we want the best of the best playing for the town, but hopefully we get a core group from the majority of the players are from the network within Dundalk, Loud, Drogheda, Ardee, whatever it is, and that's this stepping stone is for that. That's what it's all about. And look, at best luck to them. It's an unbelievable, it's a massive undertaking. Like, to play in a National League at any level is huge. But I'm looking forward to going to the games, having a look and seeing, the talent, because it's definitely there. Like, some of these girls have been around a long time. I've seen some of them play at lower ages, and they're top class. They really are. Look, it's an exciting time. It really is for girls soccer, for someone who's been involved in it, and my dad's been involved in it as well. This is another level than anything we've done. Like, I mean, he got an FAI Cup, got to 2 FAI Cup finals in the mid-noughties with a senior team, but the level from then to now, like the fitness, the strength, it's the same at all sports. It's another level now, and it's definitely a lot more expensive. So look, it's brilliant to see it. It's especially at the ladies level. It's long overdue, this type of thing. And Dublin clubs have been doing it for years. Peamount to be, Shelbourne, like Steph was saying, he was there, and Shelbourne are experts in ladies soccer at this stage. Wexford as well. So look, it gets Dundalk on the map, and I think they're talking maybe a 5-year plan that I read. that would leave this age group, early 20s, going into a senior league. So if you've got a WNL team all in their early 20s, and for people forget, we've got the likes of Sophie Waters not playing in Dundalk. She's playing in Dublin. You know, we've got Lynn Craven as well going to I think she's gone to DLR Wave. She was at Wexford Youth. She was at Shelbourne as well. Again, another Dundalk player, because it wasn't here for her. So, you know, in a couple of years' time, we want players from Dublin looking to come here to play senior football along with the local girls that are there. Look, that's what it's all about.
I think Grace Murray's back in the league now as well. I know.
Yeah, she just re-signed with Piedmont.
Yeah, Grace is back. Yeah, Grace was at Dundalk, and I think she's gone back to Piedmont. Yeah.
So there's another one. Like, look.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, I think when we've said this, I think last year a couple of times, that you have these local players that are playing outside of Dundalk, and it's good to hear finally that the club has a plan in place to get ladies football back, and hopefully we can get those 3 or 4 that I mentioned whenever there's a senior ladies team ready to go. Yeah. You know, we get them to kind of lead it, as we say. And look, just when we're talking about Shelbourne ladies being the kind of one of the pinnacles for ladies football in Ireland, just ex-Dundalk captain Joey Malone's not been too well recently, so I'd just like to give a shout out to Joey and hope he feels better soon. But yeah, look, we'll move on to this.
Pingu, just before you
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Before you finish up on that point, just, you know, I think it also kind of, you know, talk about the under-17s national, entered into the National League for the girls. It also talks about, you know, what we were looking for, Dundalk embedding themselves in the community. You know, that's a massive part of the community, as much as the underage boys have been for a long time. And it's about including girls football that's been in the town, and Gally, look, you know about it better than any of us here.
Great point.
It's gone. I think what Chris is saying there, he's going to get involved in Castletown Bells as a coach. I think that's what he was getting at. So just as well he cut himself off. I've been hounding enough people for months. So I think that's what he was saying. He was just confirming that he signed the contract there and he's going to get involved. And in the community, Chris, you have to get involved in the community.
Breaking news.
News.
It's great to see, and just I suppose all of us at the town now want to wish all the underage teams at Dundalk the best of luck for the season ahead. Chris, you're back there, are you?
I'm back. Yeah. No, I was only just saying it's another, you know, feather in the cap for the new owners with Dundalk. They really are starting to embed themselves into the community, and this girls' team is just another level on that again. You know, it's all about involving younger lads for underage, right the way up. Now there's also another channel now for the girls as well, to aim it on a national league level. I mean, Gally knows girls football better than any of us here probably, and like you mentioned there, Gally, you know, the levels that the girls are playing at, but to have a team of Dundalk in a national league, it's just another feather in the cap, and it's just really helping amalgamate that community element, I think, to the club, the things that we've been missing for a long time, you know.
Yeah, it's brilliant. We were just saying, what age group are you going to take with the Bells, Chris?
The line's breaking up there again.
Don't worry, I'll sort you, Chris. Don't you worry.
He'll just tell you what age group you're looking at.
Yeah, I don't get away from that one.
Yeah, but he's right. Like, that's
I'll
what
wait
it's
for the gaffer to tell me there. That's all.
Community football, that's what it's all about. You know, like, look, it's not that Dundalk have, like, you know, they set out their stall years ago. I remember it was when Fife got involved and Paul Johnson. It was actually the late Sean McCaffrey. It was the night that was all announced. Chris Shields was captain and stuff, and they were all with this community football club, and it was there. And then it kind of, the success is great, but it ran away. I think it ran away from people you know, in certain areas, and it's great to get it back. It starts with that kind of age group, and they've done the right thing, I suppose, for themselves. That they could have just, you know, the talk was last year that they're going to go straight at the WNL in 2023, I think, or maybe it was 2022, but I think it's 2023. But you can't just jump in. You have to have a backup plan. So, you know, it'd be like us trying to rock into an under 14s league, but have no under 12s for when the 14s move on. You have to have something coming up through the ranks, because your most important age, in my opinion, any sport, is your youngest age, because there's no point having a crack senior team and you have nothing coming up to filter through when that senior team moves on. Like, we push 7s and 8s at our club probably more than any other age, because at the end of the day, that's what, when we're all finished, that's what's going to be carrying on. And it's the same with this Women's National League. It started at 17s, but they could go into it this year. They'll only get 1 or 2 years at 17s, depending on their age. And there's nothing coming up through the ranks. So that's why the 16 teams are there at the MGL. And that's what it's about. It's a conveyor belt of players, and you want them just to progress. You don't want to lose anybody. You want them to progress onto the senior setup then. And that's the start of it. And it's great to see.
Yeah, no, it is. It's great to see it being done on both sides, and as I say, we wish everyone the best of luck for the season ahead, and wish the club the best of luck with rolling out the plan for the women's league all the way up to senior level. But I suppose, look, moving on, we'll try to get this wrapped up. Moving on to Monday night, we're at home to Finn Harps. We'll do our score predictions. I'm going to start first. I'm going to say 2-0.
That's. I'm going to get straight in there. I'm going to go 3-1. I think we'll concede, but I think we hit them for 3.
I was going to pick 2-0, so I'll go 2-1 to Dundalk.
Stefan?
Yeah, I was going to go 2-0 as well, but you're never right, Pingu, so I can't. I think we'll dominate the game and we'll win 1-0, but it'll be an easy 1-0.
I'm telling you, who do you call Ollie's got all these.
Italian 1-0.
Chris, if you can still hear
domination.
I am still here.
What's your suggestion?
1-0.
I was going to go with 3-1, then I heard Gally say that, so I'm backing out of that, and I'll go back down to 2-1 then, which I know is the same as Donald. Did you pick that too?
I did, so you're on a winner.
There we go. We're on a winner.
That's it, Gally.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind. I nailed tonight's result. So, anyway.
Did you say Desmond, yeah?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Well, that's it for tonight's show, folks. Thanks very much for watching, and we will see everybody on Monday night after the game against Finn Harps. All the best. Or actually, no. Why am I trying to finish it up? I have to get this video ready. Steph, we let you wrap it up tonight again.
We'll let Chris on because he is a guest appearance.
No coach, no bells.
No badge. No badges, no coaches.
Night.